What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news, updates and new rewards for Season 22. And so, kicking off the new season right here, we're going to take a look at some new exotics, and we're getting a first look at some of the rewards that we'll get access to this season. We'll also cover a couple of quest items, and then updates to vendors. So we have things like the new season pass, but also Eververse rewards, updated inventories, a first look at some of the new content for Season 22, and a few other things to round up in the video. And so, I hope you guys enjoy this one as always, and if you do, be sure to get subscribed as we'll have a lot more to talk about. But without further delay, let's get into it. Okay, and so getting into things right here, initially, let's take a look at some of the new weapons and rewards for the season. We're not going to focus too much on final shape things right here, as I wanted to sort of round up the Season 22 newness, but initially we get a quick look at new Trials armor for the season, if you fancy taking a peek at this. On top of that though, we get variants of the seasonal armor, so Bungie have showed us two different versions. One of them, of course, is with ornaments and the other is without. So the new season armor is looking pretty cool if you ask me, very dark, very Hy-Vee kind of theme. Let me know what you think about it down below. But as we get into weapons and things like that from the press kit, we get a quick look at some of the new kind of legendary weapons as part of the season. So we've got the machine gun, hand cannon, rocket launcher, and the sniper rifle. And then we get a bit of a better look at new exotics. So there is the Dearest, I'm not sure how you say that, but arm yourself with the power of Elucent Knight's most quintessential and unrelenting grenade launcher, with moths included. And of course, we got a bit of a preview of this inside of some of the trailer footage, but to take a better look at the new exotic weapon here though, this is the Season Pass exotic, and it comes with corrupted nucleosynthesis, nearly said that wrong, probably still did, but the weapon enrages when dealing or taking sustained damage, gaining increased rate of fire while enraged. On top of that, we can see it has volatile launch, and then nucleosynthetic magazine, and the magazine continuously draws ammo from reserves. The magazine also enables firing arc projectiles that detonate on impact. And then it has loyal moths, and final blows with the weapon create a loyal moth, and the moth will seek out nearby targets and detonate, damaging and blinding them. Then it's got hand-laid stock. So pretty interesting exotic, and certainly a rather unique looking thing right there, so let us know what you think about it down below. If you fancy a look at the Tessellation, which of course is the new exotic weapon which is a pre-order bonus for the final shape itself, it has property undecidable, and this adapts its damage type to match your equipped subclass, and then final blows grant grenade energy, which is pretty interesting. It's got polygonal rifling as well, and projection fuse, and then property irreducible. We can perform a long press to consume the grenade and load a large projectile shape or language that generates an elemental explosion on impact. Also there is composite stock. So pretty interesting looking thing, of course, and very different sort of weapon in terms of performance. Can't capture any gameplay of it for you, for this video at least, because I can't get my pre-order bonuses to work, but we at least can take a quick look at the weapon right there. There's also a preview of new exotic armor, and so the hunter will get Mothkeeper's wraps, and a hunter's grenade becomes a cage of loyal moths that release on impact and protect allies or debilitate foes. So that one sounds pretty cool, kind of an interesting concept there. There is also the Pyrogale gauntlets for Titans, an armor that empowers both Burning Maul and Consecration to unleash cyclones of solar flame. So additionally, that sounds pretty cool, and it's a rather interesting looking exotic as well. But finally, for Warlocks, there is Briar Binds, and Void Souls created by the Warlock last longer and gain strength as they defeat targets, retrieve them, and redeploy them at will. So new exotic armor pieces right there sounding pretty interesting as well. But also as confirmed in the showcase, Crota's End will be the reprised raid this season, and yes, the armor does come with the Year 3 glows from Destiny 1, so we will get the glowy versions of those armor pieces, which is pretty awesome. And while we can't go into a bunch of detail about the weapons in this video, we can see some of the new Trials stuff, so the return of the Igneous Hammer right there, but also the new Trials grenade launcher, which is the Cataphract GL3. We can also see some of the reprised Iron Banner weapons there as well, which of course we have seen previously, and a new hand cannon for Crucible. So some pretty cool items to take an initial look at right there. Obviously right here we have Toil and Trouble as a milestone, and this is going to eventually be the kind of season quest for Season 22, so this will be Way of the Witch, and of course we'll get weekly entries for that quest. On top of that, we can probably anticipate some extra kind of secrets, exotic quests and things like that throughout the season. Also, if you happen to be curious about the season title for the main kind of title this season, we have the Harrow Specs. I'm probably saying that wrong, but That'll be the new title associated with the season. Potentially, we could get others and things unlocked later on, but of course if you want to view the challenges and things like that for this, you can see them in the game. In terms of the Eververse store though, since we won't be doing a traditional vendor reset video this week, we do have the experimental mishap exotic emote available for 3,250 bright dust on the front page. Then there is the E99 shell, or the eggshell, for 2,850 bright dust this week, as well as the lattice entrance transmat effect for 450 bright dust. And then we have the Dream Cycle shader. As always, these cost 300 bright dust, and also on the front page, there is the Tide Smoke shader available as well. For the main bright dust section though, we have a Tiny Friend for 700 bright dust. There's also the Facepalm rare emote, which is 400 bright dust this week. And then there's the Scribe's shell for 2,850 bright dust, as well as the Assembly Stinger, which is an exotic ship there for 2,000 bright dust. And then we have the Chelicerath Visitor for 2,500 bright dust, an exotic sparrow right there. And they're selling the Vexplosion weapon ornament right here for Sunshot, which was in a bundle last season. That's 1,250 bright dust. But also, there is the magic trick projection there, for 1,500 bright dust. Got thrown as I got kicked out of the game. But we have 44 Steel, Vibrant Beach, Grayscale Undergrowth, and the Raven Silk shader available there, 300 bright dust for any of those. And then there's the Tiger Entrance Transmat effect, the Box of Tricks Transmat effect, and the Harpy Entrance available this week. And as always, all of those are 450 bright dust. May as well finish with a quick look at Banshee right here, but he does have Imperial Needle with Impulse Amplifier and Wellspring. It looks like some of these may have been updated a little bit. There's also Shattered Cypher with Slideways and Surrounded, and then Pleiades Corrector with Genesis Wellspring, as well as the Enyo D with Steady Hands and Vorpal Weapon, and the Fugue 55 Sniper with Lead from Gold and Box Breathe-In. Also though, Legal Action 2 has got Moving Target Rampage, the Senuna S16 has got Feeding Frenzy Elemental Capacitor, and then we've got the Redback Sidearm with Subsistence and Surrounded, and the Coronac 22 Auto Rifle with Surplus Adrenaline Junkie. Also Memory Interdict with Autoloading Holster and Wellspring, and finally Palmyra B with Impulse Amplifier and Adrenaline Junkie. So not necessarily anything super excited, but some of the weapons and roles will change throughout the course of the week. Was kind of curious to see if we get any new ones added for this season, but let us know what you think down below. And for today guys, I'm going to leave you with a little section of the reveal for Season 22, which gives a bit of a flavour of some of the content we'll experience. But as always, get subscribed, as I'll keep you posted with more content throughout the week. But otherwise, I appreciate you tuning in, and hope you guys have an awesome day.
Bring me your tithes.
What does that mean for the characters and the player? To kind of like be like Savathun. And that's where we went down the path of having Hive Eris. We wanted to extend that magical fantasy into the player then. That ability to have overwhelming magical power, that risk and reward into all of our activities and systems experiences. And so that's what led us to come up with things like Deck of Whispers. It's this magical deck of cards that creates amazing synergies with your buildcraft meta and with buffs and the activities.
They can then choose these cards at will, whichever ones they want, and then that really leans into the build crafting.
You actually are getting cards that you can then use to place on the battlefield and change the way you play.
I'm such a sucker for deck building. Like being able to bring that element into Destiny gameplay has just been like, oh, chef's kiss.
Yeah, it's
really
super
fun.
So we've got two brand new seasonal activities coming with Season of the Witch. We've got Altars of Summoning and Savathun's Spire.
Savathun's Spire is our new 3-player offensive. You're doing a lot more with the Lucent Hive magic, but it's got a high amount of combatant density. It's got additional random encounters that you can come across.
The Witch's Spire itself, Savathun's Spire, was like her reliquary for all these different magical experiments as she was learning the light. You're there in order to learn as much as you can in order to become a master spellcaster, right? To become like Savathun. The Altar of Summonings activity is really exciting because you can spend 20 minutes in it or you can spend 2 hours in it.
It's a 3-player experience that you can hop in and hop out of. As you're going through this activity, you're filling the tithing bucket. As that tithing bucket is filled up, you'll get progressively more rewards. And then finally at the end, it'll cash out and you'll get a whole mess of rewards.
We really wanted to make sure that there was a home for any exotic mission content coming in seasons after the year has passed. And so we developed what we're calling the Exotic Mission Rotator.
Right away, we're getting Presage, Vox Obscura, and Operation Seraph Shield.
This is some of the most fun content the team has making. It's some of the content the fans and players of Destiny love the most. The most exciting thing, outside of just the missions themselves, is that every time we put a mission inside of that rotator, the exotic that comes alongside of it will become craftable. With Season of the Witch, we have a brand new Vex lo-fi PvP map coming. It's really exciting. It's got a bunch of really tight gameplay experiences. We wanted to make sure that we focused the combat a little bit more. With the new Vex network map, we really wanted to make sure we hit is like, hey, you're shoulder to shoulder more often. There's not as much deep sight lines that you're interacting with. And a lot of the flow of the map is actually built around this like kind of central pillar of the Vex network that you're orienting around.
And there's also some modes coming too, right?
We've got a new PvP game mode coming that's all about relics. It's about multiple relics, so it's not just one like the Scorch game mode from the past. So we've got the shield coming from Vault of Glass, we've got the spear back from Season of the Risen.
And we got the scythe from Season of the Haunted.
Yeah, so you're gonna be reaping Guardians with that thing. It's a lot more tactical gameplay. It's all about running around the map, claiming these relic dispensers, and then grabbing them in order to push for victory.
I will take what I need. The words in my throat are the weapon in my fist.
We were feeling pretty Hyvey this season, obviously. There's something in the air. And so when thinking about like, what's a good raid reprisal that would really suit this very Hyvey season?
Here we go.
There's only one answer.